Oh, he a knockout artist. He getting kicked out of boxing gyms. I already know what time it is.
Everybody, Andrew.
We got everybody out here.
I'm a boxer.
Yeah, yo, you trying to be deceiving, huh?
I'm a boxer. I like boxing. The knockout come and get it.
Oh,
I like boxing.
Yes. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, I don't know if I'm losing my mind or not because I do so many videos, but I think I actually already did a Canelo Kirkland breakdown video. I could be wrong. I didn't go back and check. I just said forget it. This is the week of the fight. So if I did make a video, let me give some more analysis on the fight. Guys, this is a very intriguing fight. Even though Canelo Alvarez, he received a lot of flack for taking this fight because he had champions like Demetrius Andrade who was offering him a title shot, and he elected to fight James Kirkland instead. This is still a great matchup, right? It's a great matchup because we know that Canelo has flaws. We know that Canelo fights in spurts, and he's never really fought an aggressive fighter who is probably still young. You know, Kirkland may not be the same Kirkland that he was before he went to prison, because I'll tell you right now, it's kind of like Mike Tyson. Before Kirkland went to prison, when he was undefeated, he was a monster. He was a monster. And I truly believe that James Kirkland, he beats Canelo hands down. But now we're dealing with the post-prison James Kirkland, and that makes this fight a lot more different. In fact, I would favor Canelo Alvarez to possibly knock out James Kirkland. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky, though. Because if Kirkland, with the style that he has, Kirkland is the type of fighter who, if you don't knock him out in the first couple of rounds, he can be trouble. And that could spell a whole lot of trouble for Canelo Alvarez. We know that Canelo Alvarez fights in spurts. We know that Canelo Alvarez does not have the best defense. And what we're going to find out is how is he going to deal with a fighter who can fight on the inside and is not as slow and, sluggish as Angulo. Because even though James Kirkland is not the James Kirkland he used to be, he's still a much better inside fighter than an Angulo. In a certain way, this fight kind of reminds me of James Kirkland versus the young, undefeated in his prime, Alfredo Angulo. If you guys remember that fight, in the first round, Angulo, he came out guns blazing. He knocked down Kirkland. And right when it pretty much looked like the fight was about to be over, Angulo pretty much punched himself out in the same round. And James Kirkland, he rallied back and he ended up hurting Angulo. And from that point on, it was all downhill for Angulo. So even though I'm slightly leaning towards Canelo to possibly knock out James Kirkland, this is still a very difficult prediction, because if James Kirkland gets past the first 4 rounds, I could see this fight starting to favor James Kirkland. I mean, I would not be surprised if James Kirkland ends up getting a late round stoppage in this fight. Considering the fact that James Kirkland has been rocked and knocked down so many times, the consensus is he has no chin. But what I'm starting to notice is it almost seems like sometimes, as crazy as it sounds, when James Kirkland gets knocked down, that's actually when he wakes up. Because that's what I've seen in the Angulo fight. That's definitely what we've seen in the Glenn Tapia fight. If Canelo doesn't get this man out early, he may be in for a very long night. Now, I hear a lot of people saying that Kirkland, since Ann Wolf is not in this corner, he has no chance, and so on and so forth. Now I give a lot of credit to good trainers. And obviously, Ann Wolf, she's a good trainer, and she was a good fit for James Kirkland. But I truly believe if you have a fighter who has been boxing all his life, from the amateurs to the pros, it's not going to make that much of a big difference when he gets in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, because his game plan is going to be the same. His game plan is going to be pressure, pressure, pressure. But at the same time, try not to get caught with too many counters while you are applying pressure. That's always been the game plan. And James Kirkland has been doing this his entire career. So, I mean, maybe you get a little bit of a psychological cheerleading type boost with Ann Wolf, but outside of that, is she really that effective? I don't believe so. I mean, you look at the way Manny Pacquiao performed this past weekend against Floyd Mayweather. I don't think Manny would have looked any different if he had Ann Wolf in the corner or anyone else. I think it would have been the same Manny Pacquiao. And I believe the James Kirkland that we're going to see this Saturday is going to be the same James Kirkland. Okay? Now, recently, James Kirkland, he just issued a challenge to Canelo Alvarez, daring Canelo to fight toe-to-toe. That's pretty interesting because you already know Canelo Alvarez, who has the Mexican pride, so on and so forth. It'll be interesting to see if he obliges James Kirkland. Now, because of the flaws and the many mistakes that Canelo and Kirkland make in the ring, that suggests this fight will be action-packed, right? No different than a football player fumbling the ball, interceptions and stuff like that, turnovers in basketball. Mistakes that you make creates more drama in a fight. I expect a lot of drama in this fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if James Kirkland gets caught early in the first couple of rounds, gets staggered, and possibly gets knocked out. But I also wouldn't be surprised if James Kirkland gets knocked down, gets back up, and takes Canelo into deep water. And with Canelo always fighting half the round, fighting in spurts, I could see him tying up Kirkland a lot as Kirkland comes in very aggressive. And eventually, Kirkland starts to break down Canelo Alvarez and stop him. So there are many scenarios when it comes to this fight. Like I said, I'm betting Canelo possibly wins the fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong in this prediction. It is a prediction, right? So that's pretty much all I got. I'm on to the next one.